Hey everyone, Heather Williams here with the California AfterSchool Network. Excited to host another Fireside Chat with Michael Funk from the California Department of Education Expanded Learning Division. And this is the second in our series of Fireside Chats with our Expanded Learning Leadership Awardees this year. And so we just released one last week, and we've been spending some time just getting to know our awardees a little bit better. So excited to have 4 of them on today, and we'll jump into that in just a moment. But as usual, we usually have some policy updates. And Michael, I know there's been a lot of energy going around the most recent recommendations from the Legislative Analyst's Office. So I just wanted to turn it over to you to share some thoughts on that.
Yeah, thank you, Heather, and welcome to our guests this morning. It's great to have you, and welcome everybody to the Fireside Chat. We are still working on the audit guide and release of FAQs, which I hope is within weeks of another set, another round, another refresh. But as Heather mentioned, a lot of the energy, as if you have been under a rock for a while, you might not know that the state budget forecast is quite what's the word I want to use? The projected revenue is significantly lower than it has been in the past couple of years. And so there's a lot of conversation about what is the impact to school districts and what's going to be happening. I was just at the California School Board Association annual convention last week, and there was a whole session on budget forecast, policy outlook. And of course, one of the things that comes up is what's the future of the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program? And I've heard that in some places, some district leaders are concerned about, well, shall we move forward? Shall we invest? Should we be hiring? What's going to happen? And of course, I left my crystal ball in the car, so I don't have it next to me here to be able to tell the future. What I can tell you is for those people that are calling on some kind of reduction, that has typically been their position, their message. And I can tell you that in recent conversations with the administration and legislative leaders, the conversation has been entirely about what do you need to make this even stronger? What do you need to make this better? What types of things do we need to clean up? One of the things we're working on is getting more clear on the license exempt language that's in the education code to make sure that that's clear with community care licensing. And we also are working on convening groups of leaders across the state of how do we really leverage the different sources of funding that complement ELOP, and what types of things can we do to strengthen the field's capacity to serve TK and kindergarten and the younger children. And everything in the conversation is about how do we move forward to make this stronger with a commitment to make the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program reach the vision that we all have for it. So I've said this in several different settings. The best strategy in this moment, when there's conversations about budgets, is to move forward with purpose and with intent to make the program everything you've dreamed it could be, because that's the best strategy to ward off potential cuts, is to make this program a great success and to keep moving forward. Before I came to the department 10 years ago, I was 20 years at the Sunset Neighborhood Beacon Center. And of course, there were many downturns in the budget, many different times that there were talks of budget cuts. And I kept telling my staff, the best strategy in this time is to outperform your expectations, provide children, families, serve the school at a level that they couldn't even imagine. That's the best strategy. And in 20 years, we didn't have a single budget cut because we always outperformed what was expected of us by the funding sources. So that's my little anecdote for how to approach this moment in time. It's important to be concerned. It's important to stay alert, but it is not a time to panic. It is not a time to panic. And that is a consistent message that the California School Board Association and other leaders were telling superintendents and district leaders and their school boards last week in San Diego. It is a time to stay alert. It is not a time to panic. So with that, Heather, I'll just turn it back to you. Let's get on to the conversation.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. And I think the only thing I would add on is not only to, continue to serve your students and your families and outperform, but if you have relationships with your local legislators, invite them out to see your programs and the impact they are having on the youth, because that will definitely carry with them while they're making their decisions. So highly encourage you all to do some site visits. If you need any support with that, there's lots of resources. Feel free to reach out to me and other folks. And yeah, with that, we'll just jump right into it. And so Donna, I think we're going to start with you and have you introduce yourself, and we'll go around and learn a little bit more about all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Heather and Michael. My name is Donna, and I am with the Santa Cruz City Elementary School District. We have, I started with the ACES funding part of the program, and we've, recently gotten a little bit of the ELOP funding. I love working in after school. I love making kids smile, families happy and confident that their child is well taken care of, well supported academically, that we work through social issues as needed, and that they get an enrichment in their lives that they wouldn't otherwise. An aha moment for me took place a couple weeks ago, and it was a fairly calm day. And I'm looking around, our area where all the kids are in different pods of doing different things. And we had one, and they're basically like in pods of 20 students each. I had one group of students in a basketball camp practicing their drills and their hooping. I had another pod of kids going on a field trip with a local organization, the Watershed, and they were, putting on their name tags, getting ready to board the bus. I looked far down and I saw our TK and Kinder program. The teacher works a lot outside, and she sets up their art activities. And so I could see all their heads huddled down and cutting and gluing. There was another group of students headed out into their academic support classroom and hanging up their backpacks. They start with reading, and then they play math games. And it just, I almost got tears in my eyes because I was like, wow, this is all happening. And, after 12 years to be able to see that and still maintain the integrity of what I believed in when I started this and see it all come together and continue to come together. It's a really powerful, program for me to be a part of. The ELOP funding has helped in a huge way. And I say that because we are able to increase our staffing to support more of our students. We have 75% of the ELL students in our program. And so we have started a specific tutoring program that takes place 4 days a week, where we take those specific students, and we pull them out just for 30 to 40 minutes and really focus on their reading skills and their math skills in positive, fun ways, not drill ways. And so the ELOP funding has allowed us to open up that as a possibility. It has also opened up the possibility. In the past, we've done a lot of fundraising, and I took a grant writing class and was able to learn how to write grants, and was funding a lot of my enrichment programs through the grants that I received. And while I still do that because I enjoy it, the ELOP funding has again increased our enrichment opportunities here at the school. Swimming, teaching kids to bike ride. We have a pottery class, and that's just the beginning. Also, my goal this year was to take kids to the local state parks, and so we did our first trip, and we learned about the ecosystem, the butterflies. They got a chance to watch the sunset, and then did an art project afterwards, and that was just really cool. So yeah, I love what I do. I love being part of this, and I want to keep continuing. It's truly a fun job, and I take on a challenge as a fun experience and a way to not get bored. So yeah.
Thanks, Donna.
You're welcome.
All right. All right. We'll just keep going around the circle. Carol, why don't you go next?
Sure. I just want to start by saying thank you so much for this recognition. I'm from Region 4, Carol Lewis. I work at Vallejo City Unified. And when I think of my Region 4 colleagues, I'm a little humbled by being selected to represent Region 4. So thank you very much. I come from the school day. So 11 years ago, I applied for an administrative position and was selected to be in charge of professional development. Oh, and you're also in charge of the ACES grant. Not realizing, because I came from the school day, I'd been a reading first coach, I'd been coaching teachers, really thought that was what I had signed up for. A couple years in, probably Michael, about the time you came on board, an auditor noticed that the position wasn't full-time and really recommended that we do that. So I became full-time in charge of the ACES expanded learning program, and feel so fortunate that I have my last decade or so of being an formal educator is in this world, because it's everything that I thought education should be. And when the standards were introduced, I was thrilled that I had a way to define what excellence looked like. We had, last year, 13 ACES funded sites, and brought on 3 sites that hadn't had programs before with this new funding. So this is a great time to be in this world of expanded learning. And it aligns so much with what I value about how kids learn, and what we can create for kids so they thrive.
Thanks, Carol. And not the first person to hear that message about coming from the school day and transitioning into expanded learning and being really excited about what we can offer for our students in that space. Right. Well, we'll keep going down the line. Mr. Brandon, why don't you introduce yourself next?
Hello, I'm Brandon Marshall. I'm with Region 3. I'm in Sacramento, California. I'm with the Boys and Girls Club, and I currently work in the Twin Rivers School District. I just wanted to talk about the reason why I do this. The reason why I do this is because I like to see the change in the kids. I started this about 10 years ago, and it was just looking for something different to do. And after about 3 months, it was like I just fell in love with this, and the kids just totally embraced me. It was my first class I've ever done, and I just kept going along with the program and just learning more stuff every year, and trying to teach the kids everything. And after about 3 or 4 years, I started getting visits from former students, and it's never the good kids that come to visit you. It's always the kids that had the most troubling behaviors, and the things that we just work on with the kids like every single day, and just trying to make them, better, responsible, caring adults, and like when they come and visit, and they're always like, Mr. Brandon, I'm in high school, I'm doing this now. And it's like that's the stuff that keeps me going, you know what I mean? Because you don't always get to see the change, and like sometimes you're just like I need you to do this, and I need you to do this, and you really want the kids to do something, but like you sometimes you just never see that. Sometimes you never see the outcome of what they become, or how they become. And just getting a chance to see that, the longer that you're in the game, the more that you get to see, and the more times that it happens. And now I'm at the point where it's like every school year I'm getting high school kids and college students and adults that are coming to visit me now, in the beginning of the school year every year, just to say, I made it, I've done this, and this is what I've accomplished so far, and I'm trying to accomplish more just for you. And I'm like, man, that's that's the kind of stuff that really gets you, and really keeps you going. You know what I mean? It's like, because sometimes in the beginning of the year, it's like so many things are just happening, and you just get really overwhelmed with what's going on, and starting a new program, and you got all these new kids and everything, and you're just going to give them the same experience that you've been giving the kids in the past. And then whenever those kids come and they visit you, it's like it just totally re-energizes you and just keeps you moving. And that's the reason why I just keep going.
Mr. Brandon, do you think they came back to visit you because of the amazing schedule you put together?
Possibly.
No, I bet they came back to see you because they knew you cared.
Yeah, just I mean, because it's like, as I do care, and I really push the kids a lot to try to become better, better for themselves. And so part of the reason why I think they come back to visit is just to show that, like, that I did push them into the right direction.
Love that. Thanks, Brandon. And Christine, why don't we go to you next?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Christiana Trout McPhee, and I'm the manager for Extended Learning Opportunities Department for San Diego Unified School District. I have had the great opportunity and been very fortunate to be working in extended learning opportunities for over 25 years, working in the ACES programs. We've come so far and so much. It's just amazing the number of students and families that we've been able to reach and touch, and the number of opportunities that we've been able to offer over the years, and partnerships that we built. I recently had an aha moment. I get them frequently, which is so rewarding and why I'm so passionate. I was at a doctor's appointment, and the health assistant was taking my vitals, and she was just inquiring as far as what do I do? And I shared with her, and she was so excited to share with me that she was participating in our ACES programs through elementary school, through middle school, and just couldn't thank me enough for how much fun and how engaging and how supportive it was, even with the academics, and how much we helped her family during the challenging times. And it was just so meaningful. And she went on to express to me how this was her last week as a health assistant. She's pursuing her medical career. It was just wonderful to hear how something over the years, you meet so many adults now that have participated in ACES programs, and how we've supported them and their careers and their families along the way. And with the ELOP dollars, we've been extremely fortunate. It is a dream come true, because over the years, having ACES programs, and with the funds being so limited, and there's so much opportunity out there, ELOP really gave us all of the dreams that we can now incorporate and implement and expand, not only serving more students and more families, but also more opportunities and working with additional partnerships. So even during the summer timeframe, and offering more academic support where needed. So this has been extremely wonderful, hearing about the ELOP dollars. And as we continue to expand, we're excited and looking forward to what we can add to it, and what does that look like moving forward.
Thank you. And Gerardo, we'll turn it over to you for the last introduction, a little bit about you and your district and your time in expanded learning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so sorry I was late. My name is Gerardo Guerrero. I'm a site coordinator at Rockwood Elementary School here in Calexico School District. For ACES, I've been working for almost 5 years, but I have previously worked in different companies with touring programs before that, and I really like how we've been working on Sparks, how we began is so much different that we have today, and it's so motivating to keep working on here today. You know, last past weekend, we just went to a field trip, the field trip of the year, and students were so I don't know how to say it. They were so happy, more than happy than being out. Although we went to San Diego to a mission, and it was so much different, so much a different experience, you know, to expose the students to those little things, and they were so happy about it.
Thank you. All right, Michael, what questions do you have?
Gerardo, you know, expanding horizons. That was going way back to the learning and after school, summer school, learning after school and summer learning principles that we developed even before the quality standards. One of those 5 principles of learning is expanding students' horizons. And I've heard each of you in some way have a story that was creating an experience, creating an opportunity that was so much more than academic. It was relationship centered. It was exposing them to something new. And Carol, I had to smile, you know, only in November, December in California can you watch the sunset in a program that ends by 6. So I was thinking, how do they watch oh, it's dark at 5. That's how they could watch the sunset. I was in a conversation with someone last week who was working with a district, and the district was taking a stance. We're just too overwhelmed. We put this money in the bank. We put the ELOP money into a bank account. We're just going to leave it there. And when the state wants it, we're just going to send it back. Just too overwhelmed. And I told that person, you know, one of the things that I've said to some people to get their imagination going is go back to 2019, before the pandemic, and think about the time you said or thought, if I just had more money, I would blank. What did you think about? You know, it's possible. And, you know, the kind of conversation, we're not going to have time to go to get a response from every one of you, but I'd love it if we could just talk to each other. Someone say something and respond. But what would you say to someone at a district who, this is not putting anybody down. People are really overwhelmed and burdened, and there are some districts that are really, really small, and the person that's in charge of this is also in charge of 6 other things and more money and more plans. And well, what would you say to a person to encourage them and maybe get them to think in a way that might stimulate them to take a step, just take one step? Anybody, floor's open.
I'll feel that question. So my district, when we first got this money, felt the same way, really overwhelmed. We were opening up under COVID protocols. People are stressed and try to have hallway conversations with the assistant superintendent about this funding and what's the executive cabinet going to do as the next step, and kept getting just too overwhelmed, and I just kind of took it on myself to start planning. So maybe what I would say to somebody who's feeling too overwhelmed to deal with it, just say, you know, is there somebody in your district or your organization that you think could start doing some thinking about how we might use this money, or someone in your community, to not feel like it's solely their responsibility to plan the whole thing. That'd be one thing I might say.
I love that, Carol. And the intent of the program is to really have, you know, feedback and engagement with parents and community. So inviting someone in to really help pull together that plan is awesome. It's a great idea.
I think for me, feeling overwhelmed with COVID and such, I've always had a wish list, and ACES limited what we could do based on the funding. And within that wish list, it's how do we implement? We're so overwhelmed, our staff is overwhelmed, but let's have a transition period. Let's look at the full wish list and how do we transition slowly to get to that ultimate goal. And we can all do it together as a team and do check-ins. So just a gradual transition versus all at once, sudden from one extreme to the other. And that really helps everyone just graspfully go step by step to get to that ultimate goal. That was one of the strategies that really helped me. And so we're moving in that direction, and we're seeing success as we're moving in that direction, and also looking at what are some of those ongoing challenges so that we can just fine tune as we go. The other suggestion is I'm always seeking and learning from everyone else. So what if there's best practices out there, or if there's challenges that they're willing to share, is just checking in with everyone else and also sharing what we're doing to see how we can help support anyone else that might be struggling. Take time to just reach out.
Something that I will tell them is think about the future. Let's think about the future, but still live in our present, like stay grounded, you know, and seek on what the community needs, the students needs, you know, the youth needs, because at the end of the day, that's what we do it for. We do it for the youth. We do it for the kids. And I know we LOP money, right? And we had to spend it properly on that and stay on that, you know.
I think some of the best, most effective support a district can receive is to hear from another district, hear from someone that's in their shoes. And I know that all the people that have received this funding, that have developed a plan and have it approved by their board, it's on their website somewhere. And I have heard of districts starting to share and look for another district's plan. It's not plagiarism to look at someone else's good ideas and borrow from them. Maybe the next question, either for Donna or Brandon, you know, what are you most proud of? What have you developed that if you were to speak with another community-based organization leader, Mr. Brandon, another Boys and Girls Club, or another YMCA, or Donna, another school district, and wanted to share like a nugget with them that you're just proud of and you think they could benefit from, what would it be?
Oh man, that's a tough question. Something that I'm most proud of is just or something that I would share with is just about being consistent. You know, it's like if you're consistent with yourself and you're consistent with your program, I mean, like all the pieces, they kind of like start coming together when you start building off of, but it's like you have to check yourself, you know what I mean? It's like you have to make sure that you are the most consistent person on the school site, or, you know, I mean, wherever you're at. Just trying to build legacy things, you know, where you're constantly, where I'm constantly trying to put programs into place or ideas into place that can be carried on even if I wasn't here. You know what I mean? And like that's kind of where things that I'm more proud about is just trying to create things that other people can carry on, that are successful. And yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I agree. Excuse me. I agree with Brandon. I think the other thing that I've always told other program coordinators that come forth is to never give up on advocating for your program, because I noticed that it's a challenge bringing a program to a school site as far as, you know, space and staffing. It seems like oftentimes the after school program is, you know, second in line. And we always have to remind ourselves and the key decision makers that the after school program is there to support the same students who are there during the school day. And what we do in after school is going to make their school day better and easier for the teachers as well. And so, yeah, it's and never given up. You know, I mean, I've had many conversations, you know, that have had to be had, and they're not comfortable conversations, but it's just to remind people that, hey, you know, we're here to stay. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing for our students. And just always, you know, reminding. I mean, I took a leave of absence for about 3 weeks at the beginning of the school year. And when I came back, you know, I had to like put all those reminders into place again. Hello, I'm back. And so yeah, constant advocating for yourself, never give up, never take no for an answer. So that would be my advice.
Well, one of the challenges that I hear a lot about, and I'm sure we've all heard, is the challenge of trying to find staff. I was just talking with some superintendents last week who are deeply committed to expanded learning and making these rich opportunities available to more kids, but they've said, I just can't hire enough staff. I shared two things in that moment. I shared, most people don't realize that one of the issues is they're aware of humans that would be amazing with kids and are people of character, of consistent, love kids, would contribute so much, but they just can't quite pass that exam that the paraprofessionals need to pass. But people don't necessarily realize that a district can work to create a specific exam specifically for expanded learning, which I know there's other issues around that with labor and different things, but there's more flexibility than people think. And so if you're interested in that, we can talk. I've also been in conversations with the AARP Foundation out of Washington, D.C., because in my work in San Francisco, one of the things that we did is target retirees to create an intergenerational workforce. And man, it was powerful. It was powerful. So sometimes we're stuck in this, well, we got to only hire young people because they're working with kids, but the power of an intergenerational workforce was really amazing. I know we're getting close to our time limit, Heather, but I'm just wondering if any of you want to share anything that you've thought about or tried, or you want to share with others about recruiting more humans. I mean, that's really but the funding is one thing, but the human capital is the real treasure and the real asset that we have with kids. And what's a strategy or a nugget you'd like to share about how do you get good humans working with kids?
I could say something. So one thing that I found over the years is that people don't quit jobs, they quit bosses, and people find jobs based off of, or they accept jobs based off of their bosses as well, you know. So as long as you have a good attitude and a good spirit when you're recruiting or talking with other people, people start to gravitate towards you, and people will stay longer with you as long as you have their back, they'll have your back, you know. And that's a lot of people in the workforce. That's what it all boils down to, is that, like, does my boss have my back? You know, is my boss going to go to bat for me? And if they don't feel that way, then they move on. You know what I mean? So that's usually just try to always have your employees back, and when you're recruiting and stuff, and you got to be extra personable.
Yeah, I'll second that. So I'm not afraid to go through the Starbucks drive-through and say, "Hey, I really like your energy. Have you ever thought about working with kids? Here's my card." It's a hard sell because they pay pretty well, but yeah, I just out in the community and come across somebody who. Have you ever thought about sharing that skill with kids? That conversation.
Carol, what I like about that is if we think about how do I compete with company XYZ's hourly wage, we're probably not going to be that successful. But if we are calling people to a purpose and calling people to change the world, change a life, if we're calling people, hey, this could be a gateway to a career in education for you. You know, what do you want to do 20 years from now? That's what I heard about that drive-through window at Starbucks. Next time, go inside the lobby and have the same conversation. They might kick you out.
All right. Well, we are winding down on time, and we do have one last question for everybody before we wrap up. You all have been selected as leaders in your regions. Folks seeing what the work you are doing, you are here for a reason, and we are hoping you can just offer a little bit of your wisdom around leadership to folks that are watching. And so just thinking about all that we've gone through in the last few years, it's definitely been a tumultuous couple of years with COVID and bringing students back and staff back and navigating all sorts of new funding. And so lots of challenges and opportunities at the same time. And so you all have been great leaders through that time. So what piece of advice would you offer to somebody in a similar role as yours? What's your one piece of leadership advice? And looks like Carol came off mute, so we'll start with Carol and then whoever wants to go next.
I got to share this because it's the personal story. I've always taken advantage of workshops and trainings CAN's offered and have loved the fireside chats. And I think I was at a low point last August or September, not this year, the year before, and just really struggling, and listened to Michael speak as he does, and wrapped it up with the lead with love, and appreciated hearing that so much that moment in time. I think I dashed off an email or a text to thank him. And ever since that moment in time, I've been driven to lead from that point of view. And as situations come up, I'm always thinking, what does it mean to lead with love at this moment in time, or for this person? going through their moment in time. So unpacking what it means to each of us individually, what does it mean to lead with love, I think is the biggest share I would put out there in the world regarding leadership in this wonderful world of expanded learning.
Thanks, Carol. And feel free if you're ready. All right.
I just say never stop learning and never stop evolving. Those are the two things that we're always doing in after school and just basically in life. We're constantly evolving and we're constantly changing and always learning new tips, new tricks, new anything, using your CQI and but just don't give up on something right away just because it doesn't work the one time. Try it again, maybe it'll work again, but never stop evolving.
Yeah, I absolutely am in alignment with Carolyn and Brandon. Mine is a loving heart is the truest wisdom. And always facing challenges. We're always going to have challenges, but there's always going to be solutions. And just being patient and flexible and learning and listening and all of those elements really helps find and support and provide the best experiences for our students and staying passionate.
I totally agree with everybody here. Keep growing, be open, and also be that adult that you wanted to have as a kid. To be a great after school leader, you need to be that adult that you wanted to have, or if you have one, to be that one.
Yeah, I agree with all of you. And a tip that I have used in after school is when the teachers come on board is I ask them what their passion is and what they enjoy doing. What's their favorite activity? I've had running, arts and crafts, sewing, someone who has like a talent at something and bring that to the students. And that really is one of those things that keeps the teachers happy, because they get to share something that's really important to them. So thank you.
Well, thank you all for your leadership tips, but just for joining us today and for your leadership in your communities. You all are making a significant impact in the communities that you are serving in, and we're glad we have, even if it's a short time, to really recognize all the work that you are doing. So much appreciation to each of you. And Michael, I will turn it over to you. And don't forget to unmute.
Yeah, Heather, I'm deeply moved. I'm not going to lie. Working at the state level, a lot of days are consumed with problems and working with people who are really struggling, and for a variety of reasons that are probably legitimate, they're filled with fear. And sometimes I feel somewhat distant, but just I'm so moved by the five of you and what you've shared and who you are. And so encouraged to know that the five of you are and have touched thousands of lives. And you've really changed the course of a young person's future. And my heart is so full this morning, and I needed this. I needed to hear you, and Carol, I needed you to hear it, because whatever moment that was when I said lead with love to a screen, who knows what that's going to do? Who knows what that, but to know that it landed in that moment as humans, as sapiens, that's who we can be for each other. And so to everyone out there that's watching this, I hope you're also inspired by our guests today, who have been recognized as leaders in expanded learning by their peers for all the right reasons. That's really true. And I'm as much as I say on these things to lead with love, it is what I circle back to myself. It's my own mantra that I'm just sharing. And thank you to all of you, and thank you for inspiring me. And Heather, thank you for hosting and for your leadership as well. So with that, we've got another fireside chat to go soon, and we'll see y'all soon. Thank you.